You.
Hey, I gotta let that one roll through, man. What a great song there.
Oh man, thank you, man. That one helped add to the legacy, man. It's something that's real special, especially growing up in Pittsburgh, like you were saying. It's you know, it's iconic. Mr. Rogers. It's crazy to think that he's from Pittsburgh, right? Like what? Nuts.
Absolutely, man. And hey, and this is one of the things that I wanted to get into right off the bat. You know, a lot of people that maybe aren't familiar with you that are tuning in, I like to, you know, to talk about, especially when I haven't met somebody before, to just kind of talk about their upbringing, where they're from, kind of how that influenced you initially.
Absolutely, man. Well, you know, I'm born and raised from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Mom's from New York. Dad's from Pittsburgh, man. And I grew up, I'm a very big basketball dude. My dad played in a semi-pro and then played NBA for a little bit. And that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to be a hooper. I'm 6'4",
right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a baller. I still can dunk a little bit. It hurt a little extra, but but man, it was great for me. I always say I got into hip hop accidentally on purpose because my friend signed me up for this like fun competition to make like kind of trick me into being in front of people performing. And I had no material, obviously no song. I just kind of freestyled about the judges and ended up winning and finding out that I had that talent. And you know, my dad raised me on some like there's no plan B's. So like when we decide to do something, we don't throw things at the wall to see what sticks. We are the wall. You know, we inspire those that like to throw things. So you know, that's like where I started out. And actually, a lot of people don't know this. I don't even think I'll say this in a lot of interviews. My first like demo deal was with Desert Storm. Like my uncle was my first manager in New York City, and I went out and I lived in Brooklyn for almost like a whole year working on my career when I first started. And Fabulous and Paul Kane and Joe Budden's Clue, like they all kind of took me under their wings, and that's what Fabulous was like my favorite rapper at the time. So and then that's how it all started for me. But Mom used to make me listen to Will Smith. I wasn't allowed to listen to nobody else, so like no cuss words, you know what I mean? So like my friends would be at the table like, yo, Biggie said, Tupac said. I'm like, yo, but did you hear Will though? Did you hear that Wild Wild West though?
Hey, I'll tell you what though, for you know, for being a clean rapper and for getting the rap that he does, Will Smith. I mean, I like this was. I mean, I always tell people that I started listening to hip hop when I was, you know, getting into college age. Yeah. But I definitely had Willennium. I definitely had Big Willie style. I mean, like to me, it was like for me, I was, you know, probably 11 when that came out, and I was a huge fan of the Wild Wild West movie. So like,
come on, right? I still got it. When I see you, we're gonna have a movie night, dog. Yeah. I got it on Blu-ray.
Absolutely, man. It's just a fantastic movie. And then you put him on top of it, and him being able to, you know, market a song to a movie like that and just create that. I mean, I don't feel like anybody was doing that at that time.
Oh, nobody was. Nobody was. I mean, he still stays as an inspiration to me in general, right? I always say I have a Jay-Z lyricism with a 50 Cent mentality and a Will Smith intelligence, right? Like as far as like a Will Smith path, should I say, to be able to do all these things and become so you got to think about it. You become so iconic in something that you did because you were a rapper. You became an actor because he was such a good rapper. To the point that people don't even know that he raps. Some people are like, "What? He will rap? What are you?" It's like, wow, you know what I mean? Like that's insane, man. It's crazy. It's like throwing water on somebody, and it's so much they think it's raining. Like, oh, the fuck.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, he's fantastic, and you know, being from Philly and you know, or being from Pittsburgh, but you got Philly's just a stone throw away with the roots and everything like that. But you know, I've always felt that Pittsburgh, you know, they talk about the underground scene in Pittsburgh and how I've felt similarly with Minneapolis, like it's on the edge of becoming one of these Atlantas, one of these New Yorks. Like they're very close, and you know, you have a couple of big names. You know, you have Wiz there, you got Mac Miller there. But where do you see your influence? You see it come a lot from the Pittsburgh sound? Do you see it come a lot from music you listened to growing up, or is it kind of, you know, a lot of all of it?
That's a good question, man. I think, you know, and this city has shown me so much love, right? And, you know, for myself, especially within the conversation, I think it's come from such a worldly view for me, right? Because at an early age, I knew that Pittsburgh was my world, but Pittsburgh wasn't the world. And like when I was listening to music and getting influenced, because at the time when I started and Wiz, and because me and Wiz kind of started around close to the same time, and also Mac, there were no like New York, for instance, there's a lot of like rappers to follow, but for us there was no rappers to follow, right? So what was happening to me is like I got my first demo deal, and I was like, starting to become who I am now on TV. What was happening is a lot of people were like, "Yo, you're from Pittsburgh. You rap like you're from New York. Like you don't sound like Wiz at all, right?" Because me and Wiz
Right.
are such a different sound. I'm more lyrical Jay-Z bars, and he's more like high rap and like fun party. So
Right.
it was like so I think that's one thing that Pittsburgh's doing right now is still kind of establishing their sound. And I think that right now when people, which I'm honored that when people talk about like the Mount Rushmore of the city is me, Wiz, Mac. We're all like the most successful rappers out of the city. But what I love about that is that we all have unique, different sounds. So it kind of shows people from this city that like, you know what, you don't have to follow a distinct trend to put your city on. Like a lot of that, like you hear Atlanta rappers like, oh, that's somebody from Atlanta.
Right. Right.
In New York, you're like, oh, that's somebody from New York. But it's like also to be bigger. And I think for me, that was always my influence. The same like going back to Will. Will's from Philly, but he doesn't sound like Meek Mill or
Right.
Cassidy at all. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
I think for myself, just I listened to a whole like Jay-Z's my role model, but I didn't start listening to Jay. My first rap album besides Will Smith was Get Rich or Die Trying. So I didn't even start listening to Will until I was like, Jay-Z until I was like 20. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I was late, and then I had to go back and listen to Biggie and Pac. And so for me, it was about pulling from all the greats and then making myself the ultimate rapper, and then being able to do everything. Like if it's a dope beat, if you got something dope, just give it to me. We're like, I should be able to do anything. You know what I mean? If you really can fight, you can kill somebody with more than just a gun. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely, and you spoke a little bit on the how people came up and how the city was building its sound, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about pre and post Shadowhood era with the club down there.
Yeah.
And I think that club being shut down along with Jimmy Wapo death, I think these are two big things in the city that kind of I don't want to say it negatively impacted it, but it was a setback. Both were setbacks. And so where do you see like the movement going now?
That's a very good question, man. I think I always had a unique take on it, right? When Wapo passed, I didn't know Wapo personally, but obviously I knew who he was, and at the time, like I'm in LA now, so but whoever has the buzz in the city, you hear about that,
right?
And regardless of the lifestyle he had, he was a very talented artist. Still his sound resonates throughout the city. But what you saw was, and this is the thing that I dealt with, I was like, you got to be careful with that lifestyle, right? Because you live by the gun, most of the time you die by the gun. And as we come into this position, as we become role models, like wherever we come from as artists, we become role models. So it's our job to teach the youth or to teach the ones following behind us a better way of being. And when he passed, unfortunately, he had a lot of people following him. And what happened was when he passed, then a lot of the rappers were like, well, it became a revenge thing, right? Like, well, I got to be more gangster so that doesn't happen to me. Instead of it being, man, let's not do this anymore. And everybody wanted to be very tough. And I think a little bit of that comes from the sprinkle of New York City and the toughness of Brooklyn, and being
right.
So it's hard. It's hard because it hurt us a little bit. But for me, like personally, I didn't feel it because I'm not in that lifestyle. Like at the time when he passed, I had already won the Emmy. So it was like I was in a place where like I was in boardrooms and it was a different conversation. But I felt so bad for the ones that were still underground, especially in the city, because you're right, it did give a bad annotation of what the city had to bring. It gave a bad look on rappers, and it kind of started this domino effect of, oh, well, we can't work with anybody that was associated with him because it's all, and it's like, no, these kids are great kids. Put them in better places and give them an opportunity. I think that's what Wapo needed. He was on his way to a new room where he would have grew. He was still young, He was early 20s. So it hurt us. It hurt us, I think, as a city as a whole. Because unfortunately, when you have that type of power, you have a lot of followers. And a lot of those people just wanted to be another Wapo or trying right now to be another Wapo, where it's like, try to be something better, try to represent his legacy better, show what he was, become what he was becoming instead of trying to be what he was,
Absolutely. And I've heard, in other interviews I've done, I've heard a lot of the similar sentiment where, you can see, especially as an older artist, as an older person in the industry, you can see a person that's on this path that you're going, Wapo in a couple more years, it would have been an entirely different thing. And so that's the struggle, is trying to tell that to the younger generation to be like, I get that side of it, and I see when you see guys like Wapo, but also see where he was headed. And I think that's a really important note to make.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, it's a key. I love saying there's a difference between popularity and success.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And in this industry, I think, especially now with, you know, the Instagram and Facebook and everything and TikTok, you're so quick to get success. I mean, to get popular, that you forget what real success is.
Right.
You just want that hot single. You want that, you know what I mean? It's like I can name you a whole bunch of people that was hot one summer or on the cover of Double XL who you never hear from again.
Right.
And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like at the time they were like the hottest things. It's like think further ahead. You know what I mean? Like create footprints instead of just taking footsteps.
Absolutely. And so, you know, speaking on that and building a legacy and gaining popularity over time versus this, you know, I want to talk about two major accomplishments in your life. You know, the first one being the Emmy Award for, you know, for It's a Beautiful Day.
Yeah.
Crazy as it is. And what's interesting to me is when I heard the beat for that song for the first time, I felt like that's a Pittsburgh beat. Like that's like that reminds me a little bit of Mac Miller. It reminds me a little bit of Wiz, but it reminds me of just a lot of sounds that have come out of Pittsburgh. That I really liked about it. But then also the Guinness Book and being able to, you know, rap for 31 hours. Two entirely different, you know, accomplishments in their own right. But what I wanted to talk about was, you know, how was that, like, that feeling of, you know, stepping on stage to grab an Emmy versus that feeling of, like, getting the Guinness Book
That's
record?
a good question, man. That was the best I was, man. Well, you know, for me, I think, you know, as an artist, speaking about the Emmy first, right? Like my boy Darren created the beat. He's amazing super producer in my eyes, like legend. My boy Darren and Sherrod at Studio 84 is who I work with to make the beat. And I remember I just got done speaking at Harvard, actually, which is still crazy to me. I spoke at Harvard. And when I got the call to be a part of it, you know, for me, we had just did it. Like, we didn't have a goal to, like, get the Emmy. We just knew we were going to do it, shoot the video. It was going to go on TV with PBS and be something big. But as an artist, especially a rapper, all you're focused on is the Grammy. I wasn't thinking about, like, Emmys and Oscars, and that's not my field. I'm not an actor. And when it broke a record on TV and they gave me that first phone call, they were like, yo, so you know, like, this thing is amazing on TV around the world. Like, we're going to put it up for your consideration. I had no idea what that was. I was like, I don't know. Okay, like, what do you know what I mean? Like, what do you want to do? And they were like, no, like, you can win an Emmy. You can get nominated for the Emmy. And at first, like, I processed it, and then I was like, okay. And then we got invited to the Emmy nomination party. And you know me, I brought the whole family, like, you know what I mean? Right. Everybody was with me. And I was sitting there at that moment where they were announcing the nominations, and I was like, damn, like, if I don't get this, it's pretty embarrassing. Like, everybody, you know what I mean? Like, it hit me. And I remember when they read the category and they read everybody who was nominated, they said me last because of the F, because of Frzy. And I was just like, whoo, like, it was like a feeling. I cried. I like ugly cried too in front of everybody. Everybody was clapping. Because I'm the first rapper to ever win an Emmy, you know, to be nominated, let alone win an Emmy in Pittsburgh, from Pittsburgh. Right. But also, hip hop's not in that building. We're not in the building. Like, you gotta think, only me, Common, and Childish Gambino are the only 3 rappers to ever win Emmys. Right.
Ever. That's quite the category to be in.
You know what I mean? With them, you know? Right. It was like a thing where once we got it, the phone calls start coming in and the press start coming in to be like, yo, if you win, you're going to make history. Like, you're going to be added to a short list of 3 people and da-da-da. And when we got to the Emmys, man, and they, you know, and they called us out and we won, it was like a surreal feeling because it felt like I was standing in the building for hip hop. I was representing hip hop and representing Mr. Rogers, who's a legend in himself. But also it was like one of them things where, like, okay, this is something I'm focused on doing the impossible. That's one of the things that's my motivator. When people ask what motivates me, it's the impossible. I love focusing on doing things that people say is impossible, because if it's impossible, no one's ever done it, so no one can kind of put you down. No one can be like, you can't do that. Well, you don't know.
Right,
no one's ever, you know what I mean? So being on that stage, holding that Emmy and knowing that it was something that I wasn't supposed to happen, was great. And then I was like, okay, at that moment I got the EGOT itch, and I was like, all right, Grammy up next, you know what I mean? And I would go,
Full John Legend.
Come on, man, right? So I told, then they have the city name a day after me, Forever, which is nuts, you know.
And then, yeah, I watched that video recently too. The Pittsburgh Pilots throwing out the first pitch and everything.
Crazy,
I mean,
man, nuts, dog. And I told him my goal is to have to continue to do stuff. I do a lot of community service in the city and building things and helping, in a big way to make the city more. It's to one day have a statue in the city because our city has mad statues, but are all sports teams. So there's no music at all. So just to be able to have a kid be able to walk up. And learn what that is. Oh, somebody said, excuse me, what's the Emmy for?
Yeah.
Oh, it's for the Mr. What's going on, kid? It's for the Mr. Rogers. I remade Mr. Rogers' song "Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood," and which was great. And then we did a hip hop version of it.
Yeah, check it out for sure.
It's amazing, man. Google your boy. I'm out here. But I think for me, what it really did is my role model, Will Smith. It made me. I felt like I got a little taste of how he felt when he got the Grammy. He's the first ever rapper to win a Grammy.
Right.
And seeing that and being like, that's my inspiration right now. Now I'm on stage holding an Emmy with a whole speech. Now when I get the Grammy, it's going to be a whole different conversation because now I'll have something in a quicker time than Will Smith got it. I'll have an Emmy and a Grammy, or I'll have something Jay-Z doesn't have, which is an Emmy or whatever. These things like that. And then to switch over to the world record, that was a whole nother experience because it was like, for one, it was insane. It was crazy. But it was like, at the times that were the hardest was like, people are like rooting for me right now. Like, this is something that no one's ever done. Like, people have won Emmys, right? Like, even before, like, commented that they've won before me. So I was like, if I do this, like, this is something that humanly isn't possible. It's shit that's not possible. And I'm doing it in hip hop. Like, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? The pain that I'm feeling is nothing compared to the pain that I felt when people told me I couldn't do something, or the pain that another artist is feeling when they tell them they can't accomplish something, or you can't do it, or you just make words around. No, this is a sport. I'm an athlete. You know what I mean? So
and it's cool because what brought this question to my head was I thought like the Emmy. You're right. You only knew you were winning the Emmy right when you got there, but even to be nominated, you're kind of sitting in that feeling of like I've made it already. But when you hit that Guinness book, to me, it's like there's that instant gratification moment when they tell you like you did it, and it's just like light goes off.
Right, dog. It's like, I think to see the crowd go crazy. Like I remember the crowd was there because I got to make it clear to a lot of people too because they said I had 5-minute breaks, but it didn't work like that every hour. They accumulated. So I would like go for 6 hours and then get like a 20-minute break. You know what I'm saying? So we built up the last couple hours so I could get like a 15-minute break right before the last stretch. And when I left to go downstairs to get the break, there were like 50, 60 people there. And then when the time I came back up, there were like 200, 300 people there. And they're like, you know what I mean? Like just cheering. And it made that moment like, yo, this is crazy right now.
Yeah.
And then it was like all the news cameras was there, national news, international news. They're like, yo, Fritz, it was cool to hear my name in different languages around the world.
Yeah.
And these rappers being like, I want to be like Frzy, and they couldn't even speak English, but they could say my name. And that was something that was like, yo, oh my gosh. And also, like you said, it was all me. If I would have lost, it would have been my fault. It would have been like, I would have given up on myself. Where the Emmy is the Academy's decision, and they kind of, it's out of my control, although I did the best I could do. But with this one, it was like, this is me. I just kept thinking about what it was going to be like to go to sleep doing something that no other human being had ever done. So,
absolutely, that's awesome, man. And stereotype photography just brought this up. No justice, no peace. Grammy, and this is what I kind of wanted to get into next. And I wanted to talk, similarly. We just had an interview with Aman.
Saw that.
Yeah, and I think this song it speaks for itself to an extent.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have any questions for you on it, but I do want to hear your perspective on making a song like this in the time that we're in, and just kind of what it was like to be like when you're creating a song like this. It's not an easy thing to do. By any means. So I just wanted to hear your kind of perspective on the whole process when it comes to this.
No, thank you, man. I think it's important because I know that as a Black man, I already have that obligation and a job to speak out, right? And then as an artist and somebody with some type of popularity and fame and notoriety, I'm looked at as a role model. So it's also smart to be able to say things to kind of help drive the culture forward. But no matter what, my art form and what I do is music. And for me, music is the language that everyone understands, right? Like music is, right, the one thing that can connect us all. So I knew that this song was important because hopefully maybe I can give somebody else a different perspective from hearing it from a different point of view. And writing it in a way that was very conversational, but making it so it's like you really think about it. Like, you know, like you can keep your tear gas, I can cry on my own. Like I don't, you know, and
right.
creating these iconic bars that make people go, huh? Because that's what I love about like with bars and music and metaphors. I want people to always have to go back. You know? Right. So it's like when you really, I always want, in this song, I wanted to create these lines that made people like simple ones that were very straightforward. Like you think a mask with this, I can't breathe in this mask, try a knee on your neck is a very direct line, right? But then also going, since they want to kill us in Mayweather, allow me to speak on Floyd.
Yeah, that I'm going to tell you that line that you open up with that, I was like, oh my God, dude, like that's wild, but I'll continue anyways.
But it makes you like really start to think like, oh, you know, and it's like, this is payback for giving freedom on a loan of being like, let's talk about the layers of this thing and what happens when let's compare, let's break this down in a way that's smart. But then I think for the young generation, because I have a lot of young fans that listen to it and were like, I want them to learn these lyrics because then when they're spitting it, they're actually giving out knowledge.
Right.
You know, like they're actually saying facts when they're rapping. I'm just not, I could show the versatility in how I'm doing it or to speak, but also to have that passion in the way you spit. And know that, like, listen, we do bars, yeah, we do that party stuff, we turn up, we have fun, but like when it's time to talk, it's time to talk. And that's my job is words. So for me not to have any words in this thing is selfish. I think it'd be selfish to not do that. So it was smart to do it. My boy Terry Jones and Roscoe, who's it's technically all of our song, but Roscoe is the one who created the song. And then a whole bunch of people started tagging me. Like he had like released a teaser of his verse. And then people were like, yo, Frzy would be like, yo, Frizzy's the GOAT, all this crazy talk. And then I was like, yo, I want to do it. And then, you know, then Terry Jones is a famous comedian out of the city. And he's a comedian. And he was like, yo, I want to rap. And I was like, you sure you want? Like, he was like, I don't know.
I've heard that story before.
Right? I'm like, he's like, I don't know how any other way to like say how I feel. I've been writing stuff. And I was like, you know what, man, let's get this out. Like, you want to get it out? Let's get it out. He's like, but you got to rap after me because I know. Him and Roscoe was like, you go last because I know your verse is going to be stupid. I was like, all right, let's go because I'm going hard. So to see how people respond to it, to see them, I think as soon as we released the verse, people were sending me pictures of people like writing my bars on signs and like writing them, spray painting them on walls, and the tear gas line was on T-shirts. It was pretty crazy to see that, and I think it takes me back because I'm a nerd too. So it took me back to Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. And it really made me feel like I was creating an impact because I'm super immune compromised right now. So I couldn't like go out initially for the process. So it was like I wanted to make sure that I was able to say something that really helped change the game, you know?
Absolutely, man. And it's great to hear your perspective on it, but also to know that like it's such an important part of music. I talked about it in the past, but you think about, you know, protests throughout the years. Music has driven a lot of stuff from you know the 20s on. You think about like Rage Against the Machine in the 90s. Right. You think about you know like it's been in all facets. And when the punk scene was really big and punk was super anti-government, that was
crazy.
Right. The protests that came along with that music, and the music always spoke to it. And it's somewhere where, you know, I grew up on punk and metal music. But it's somewhere that I always saw a similarity in a lot of hip hop that I listened to, being very, very outspoken against whatever you want to speak on. So that's one of the things that I was always driven to, and that's one of the reasons why I've been such a big fan of yours since I heard of you, was just you know, hearing your story and being able to have you speak out on things and talk on things and educate people. I think is really important in the scene in general.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. It's responsibilities. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, the thing I want to jump into now is kind of the heart of our podcast here, which is the quarantine question. So
I love it. I love it. I'm excited for this, baby. I was in the
awesome.
Like, okay, no, I'm saying it like this. I'm gonna be
right. Well, okay, so I'm going to start off with kind of an easy one since we talked about Will Smith. I want to hear, what's your favorite Will Smith movie?
Woo! Well, that's a disrespectful question, first.
It's tough. It's tough, man.
Okay, so it's weird, man, because I really love Gemini Man, the new one, right? Because of the whole, I get my two favorite Wills in that conversation.
Right.
But I think I'm gonna say I Am Legend. I think I Am Legend is my big dog one, because it was like him by himself the whole movie. It was like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm a sci-fi dude, so
he was great. I think if I remember correctly, though, they veered a little away from the books and what they talked about towards the ending of it. But yeah, it's great. Yeah. I'll go. It's really a hard one.
I'm ready.
But
I'm scared,
but I think Hancock I liked, because it was such a different Will that I was like, this is like I really like this.
Where's mine together? Because Hancock, I got the hat like right here actually, like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic, and then I think like 7 pounds, but you like there's such a wide range on him. Yeah. But I grew up on Men in Black, so like that first Men in Black.
Oh, Men in Black is my thing. Now, see, I have a movie theater, and downstairs in my house, I have the Bad Boys posters.
Oh, yeah, I forget he's in Bad Boys too. Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. But I think Hancock. Hold on, wait a minute.
There it is.
Oh,
there it is.
I will it out here, dog.
We're just gonna have to go a full Will Smith marathon when we link up. It's gonna be.
Happen, man. You know, I did the Will Smith song before Jonah did the song. Actually, I have a Will.
Oh
Smith
yeah.
Song. Yeah, so it was like that was good, and I might be doing some stuff with Bel Air Athletics. You ain't hear that from me. You know what I mean? You didn't know. When that happens, it's that surprise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh man, and there it is. Pursuit of Happiness too. I forget about that. Like, man, it's coming up in the comments too.
Dog, and that makes me cry a lot. Like on the Pursuit of Happiness. Like every time I see it, even though I know how it's going to end, I'm just like the slow clap. When he slow clap at the end, listen, man, I'm out.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Hey, okay, so the next question we'll jump into here is which artist has been heavily on your playlist throughout quarantine?
Ooh, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna go basic as Drake. I'm a big Drake fan. His melodies and shit be like making me mad all the time. So I'm gonna say Drake for that one. I gotta take this off. It's hot as hell.
Yeah, it's like 95
right? Like, I didn't think that all the way through. Drake's been big on it, but I've been trying to listen to a lot of different stuff. I'll tell you the secret. I've been listening to a lot of. I like when I work out and stuff. I usually listen to like classical music a lot.
Okay.
When I work out, or when I'm doing stuff, I listen to that. But really been liking that new. Now I can't even remember her name. I listen to her all the time. I can't remember her name. Singer, very moody, sad, but she won like 7 Grammys last time. She did the new James Bond song. No Time.
Oh, is it? Was it? You're talking Billie Eilish?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, well, you said classical music, and I was like, am I gonna just blow myself out here with classical and Billie Eilish?
I knew you were with me. You know what I'm saying? No, like Billie. I've been listening to a lot of her, a lot of Saint, Roses and stuff. I've been listening to a lot of that. I'm always like, it's weird because I'm such a competitive person. I listen to rap. I'm a hunter. You know what I mean? Like for me, like there's nothing less than the best rapper of all time. That's the goal for me. Like right now, I feel like I'm building a foundation. Like if people look at my resume or they Google me, they see all the stuff I've accomplished already in my career. And that's my thing, like to be the best rapper that ever exists. Like I don't want to start the conversation, I want to end the conversation. So for me, a lot of times when I listen to hip hop, it's hard for me to enjoy it because I'm hunting. Like
right. That makes sense.
I'm going over my competition's like moves or how they move. I'm figuring out how to attack them next. So when I'm listening to them, I'm like, oh, Drake did that great. Okay, like a horse. Like, oh, the horse is fast, but he can't turn quick.
Right.
Make sure I set up the tracks to the left. So like I'm listening and I'm like, same with even Jay right now. Like my goal is to, like Jay-Z is my favorite rapper. My goal is to inspire Jay-Z. I don't want to start the question. I don't want to start the conversation of who's the best rapper alive. I want to end it. You know, that's what I meant. So a lot of times I'll listen to classical music or R&B or like Billie Eilish or something because it calms me, and I can actually appreciate the music. When I'm listening to hip hop, I'm doing research.
Well, I'll tell you then. So for for kind of a more calmer vibe to music, I've been listening to two artists that have been really high on me lately.
Okay.
Is Harley Poe, which is they're classified as kind of like punk rock folk music,
Okay.
so it's a lot more acoustic. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going with it, 'cause I trust your taste, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna get the play.
Absolutely, man. Hang on, I think we're cut. Okay. So Harley Poe is the first one. And they've got an album called I think it's called Drugs, Sex, and No Regrets. Fantastic.
That's dope.
Yeah. It's kind of it's got like a horror theme to it. It's a little out there, but I really like the vibe of it. And then Julieta Venegas is the other one that I would put out there for you.
I'm gonna need you to spell. I have no idea how to.
Yeah, I'll send it to you after here. She's a folk singer from Mexico, and it's all done in Spanish. But she's I met her a few years back at a festival. I did a short interview with her, and I didn't realize how big she was at the time. And so like I'm glad, because I was really new to this, and I would have freaked if I had known that like she's won Grammys and like Latin Grammys and like all in like huge awards around the world, and I was just like I wasn't ready for that conversation. So.
That's amazing, though. I mean, that's what it's about, right? One of my favorite things. I know I'm a spiritual person with God and everything. And like for me, what someone used to say is, when you do something right, it should seem like you've done nothing at all.
Yep, absolutely.
So I mean, so you was chilling with her, like, oh, that's cool. Like, can I go to the bathroom? And you went to the bathroom. Right. Remember, I was working with this producer named Tom Biller. He has 3 Grammys. One of them for Gold Digger with Kanye West.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
So I'm at his crib. Yeah, he lived in LA, met him through Warner Brothers, some friends, and like we're working together on stuff for the album. And I was like, can I use your bathroom real quick? I was in the studio in Echo City. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I go to the bathroom and like I go to take a shit. You know what I mean? I'm about to handle this. And I turn and the Grammy is sitting on the toilet. Like on the top. And it caught me off guard, because you going in there with confidence. I'm like, oh boy, I'm about to wait, hold on, wait, what? And then that's what inspired me. That's why I like to try shit on the game, because that's what I got to do.
Absolutely. And here's a question that just came in here too. It says, here I am relaxing to heavy metal. Yeah, do you listen to much metal music?
Oh, I don't necessarily. I do sometimes, because I try to listen to everything, because this is something you'll find out about me more. Like I said, like I want to be everywhere, dog. Like I want everyone to know who I am, from every genre of music. And I like to do things that no one's ever done before, right? And the big thing is, like, I want to do a song with metal. Like, I'd love to do a remix of Gold in metal, or come out doing a metal show, because them metal shows be crazy. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, crazy. Like, I want to, like, I've gotten a chance to crowd surf now. I perform stadiums and stuff now where I've gotten that opportunity. But, like, the metal shows are, like, a whole nother level of excitement and power. So, like, I've listened to some metal. I think what started to edge me over there was, like, I know Linkin Park really isn't metal, but originally that's what kind of, like, started to push me.
Yeah, with Jay-Z and the...
Right, with the whole MTV vibe. So I was like, okay. When I saw, like, the power of how Chester, you know what I mean, was, like, singing. And they were like, yo, I got, like, he used to listen to a lot of metal. And I'm like, okay, let me start diving in. So I do listen to some metal. It's still a little intimidating. You know what I mean? Like, I'm such a lyrical person. I want to know all the words. So sometimes I can't understand all the words. But also, I mean, that's how it is in hip-hop now, too. You can't always understand all the words.
Right. So, absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say, and you come along with that, and there is a lot of the like hip hop metal infusion. God, I'm forgetting his name, from Chicago. He used to do a bunch with Chance the Rapper, Vic Mensa. Mensa.
Oh, Mensa, right.
Yeah, so he had a track with a group called Fever 333, and so they've and I'll tell you, they're one of my favorite like punk bands right now. And they're kind of metalcore. I don't know what you'd even put them into. Metal's got so many. It's got so many genres. Right. But they've done songs with like Yellow Wolf with Vic Mensa. They've got Travis Barker in a lot of their tracks, but they're also very politically influenced, so they're similar to Rage Against the Machine. I grew up on a lot of that.
Come on, man, the legends,
Right. So so I definitely I like seeing it more and more. And now you got like Rage touring with Run the Jewels next year, and like all of these clashes that are coming through, Tech Nine and all the stuff he's done with like Deftones and Corey Taylor.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want that merge of music and creativity because I feel like when you're good, you can do it, right? Like when you're an athlete, you can usually play every sport. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what I want, man. I'm an artist at the end of the day, and that's
Absolutely,
what it's all
man.
about. Yeah.
Well, I'll send you, I'll send you music from all stuff because I listen to all sorts of genres too, and
I
it's.
need it, dog. I need it. I want it. Like for real, man. I love the influence. I love learning from people. So I mean, whatever you got, man, because I trust your ear. I know you got a really good ear. So if you say it's God, no, I'm like, what is this bullshit?
Right. I'll send you. I already know there's one track I'm going to send you after this that I guarantee you will put right to your playlist and it'll be there the rest of the days.
I'm here for it. Look, y'all heard it live on live.
And for everybody else, I'll tell everybody what it is, but it's a band called Skindred, and they're from the UK, but they got reggae tones in there, they got metal, they got a little bit hip hop vibes. The song is called State of Emergency, so I'll tell everybody check that out, and I'm going to send it to you after this.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I love it. Man.
So this question, this is my favorite question to ask, because I'm kind of a weirdo, and you know, quarantine has kind of forced a lot of people to be by themselves, and
Yes.
I'm a little bit more used to it because I'm by myself a lot. Like I like to be in my own headspace.
Right.
But I also catch myself doing a lot of weird stuff. So like So the one thing I do a lot is like the facial expressions and stuff like that. And I also noticed like lately I've been sitting in weird positions. That's the one thing I've noticed. I don't know why my leg sits a different way, but what's
stretch is all different.
Right. And so what's one thing that you've kind of done, during all this that you've kind of caught yourself and been like, man, what am I doing right now?
Man. You want to know something so crazy, man. I usually, you'll laugh at this. So I usually stay like, I'm super clean shaven. Like I never have a beard or like, I don't let I keep the box, or the low cut. And like, cause of quarantine, like my hair has grown crazy as people can see, like I have a beard. And it don't even catch the full fur. I got like a gray streak like Rogue, which is crazy because I'm still early 30s, but whatever.
I got gray hair going in already, man.
It's coming in weird places. It's getting odd. But one of the things I find myself doing, not to sound like an LA white girl, is like I play with my hair a lot. Like I'll find myself because I'll pick it out a lot, and then like when I get out the shower, it's longer even than it's picked out. So I'll like be playing with my hair while I'm watching stuff, or I'll start twisting it. It's weird. Like I was like, what am I, like I'll catch myself like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'll stretch it out and be like trying to find like people to look out how far. Like, oh my, how long my hair is. It's crazy, right? So I've been doing that a lot, which is really, really weird. And then you're in the mirror and doing that and seeing it. So
absolutely, man. I mean, and it's funny because I just shave my beard because I hate when my beard gets long. That's what I do is I sit and just like, it's always.
Always. People in the comments like, your beard is great. Like, I get a lot of love for the beard, but I was like, yo, it's so funny because before quarantine started, like Snapchat had like this king crown like filter that gave you a beard.
Right.
It was like, and I remember doing it. I was like, haha, that's how I look if I ever have a beard. I'm never gonna have a beard. You crazy. And then God was like, hold my drink. Hold on.
Yeah.
Like, Rona. Let me give you this new beer remedy called Rona.
Yep.
I feel like a villain. Like when I'm thinking about stuff, I'm like, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do. I got the mustache now and all the.
Oh yeah, you do it. I'm like, first we'll contaminate the water supply.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Absolutely, man. All right, so the next question I have for you, I'm drinking my smoothie right now, but diets become a big part of people's lives. But I know that quarantine really just kind of threw it out for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I know I like cookies for me. If I can I'll go all in on a box of cookies.
Yeah.
But what's one thing that you've either eaten way too much of or like you just can't get enough of?
So, two things. That's a really good question too.
Yeah.
So I'm big. A couple things. I'm gonna snitch on myself real quick. So I love Sour Patch Kids. Like I'm in the gym a lot. I go to the gym every day. I work out like crazy, and then like when the gyms were shut down, I do a lot of working out at the house. But like Sour Patch Kids, because I'm a gamer. So like I got my Twitch set up. I'm gaming like crazy, and especially with not being able to leave. So I always have like right now I have a huge bag of like Sour Patch Kids. It's like I like the stores were closed, so I ordered them off Amazon. Like it was disrespectful, you know what I'm saying? And then I had like friends bring me bags of like Sour Patch Kids. It's crazy. But then also, I don't know if you noticed, but Cheez-Its came out with these new like Cheez-It snaps. They're like
No.
Cheez-Its, but they're like chips, but they're like
Oh,
extra
okay,
cheesy.
sure.
I've been
Yeah.
fucking them up. I've been like, yo, like, and then your hands get messy, so you always use the napkin. Where I'm like playing the game, I'm like,
Yep.
my controller looks terrible right now. Like it looks like a
But for a second there, I thought you were gonna go the Cheez-It pizza. I don't know if you've seen that.
Wait, what? What is that?
Man, I don't know if it's.
Told me about
I don't know if it's still out there, but it's basically like a hot pocket, except it's shaped like a Cheez-It, and dude, yeah, it's one of the wildest things.
That's crazy. What?
I forget who does it. I want to say Domino's, but I don't know for sure. It's somewhere like that. They teamed up with Cheez-Its and made the Cheez-It pizza.
Shout out to Google. I want everybody to understand that if I lose my six-pack, it's I'm trying that this weekend. I'm trying it. Like I'm on it right now. Like, yo.
Absolutely, man. Anyway, so this question, I think this is one of the more important questions that I asked during this, and for me, it's doing these interviews. But I know, 2020 has been a really stressful year for a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're only a little over halfway through. We got elections coming up. We got a possible second wave of the virus. We got everything that's going on right now. So what's
Hornets?
they came in? There was some flying snakes that I saw recently. Like they're just
the New York rats are becoming cannibals now.
Yeah, I've seen, and you know what? So this is kind of off topic of this question, but I saw this funny thing that was like, I finally figured out what 2020 is, which is somebody's going back in history to try and fix it. But every time they do, he's like, how else do you explain the fact that like murder hornets are no longer a thing? Like they were here and then they're gone.
It's
He's like,
Barry Allen. Barry Allen.
Yeah, Barry Allen.
Like Barry, you had one job. You go back. What happened was he saved his mom. That's what happened. Every time Barry Allen saved his mom.
Yep, he keeps trying.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, we're like, oh, finally, like Corona's calming down. Like, what? There's a sandstorm from Africa coming.
Right.
Like,
I forgot about that whole thing. Yeah, that all happened.
I just want to control alt delete from this from Jumanji. Like I don't want to play this game no more. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
My thumbs hurt. Like where's the pause button? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah. And somebody brought up Flashpoint, which is that's actually my favorite episode of Flash, is the Flashpoint where he comes back and all of a sudden Aquaman's Aquaman and Wonder Woman fighting.
Are fighting.
Everything's crazy.
And Batman's dad is Batman.
Yeah, I forget what happened. They had to zap Batman back to life.
Yeah, they had to bring him. Dog, listen, I got I have 76 tattoos.
Yeah,
and over half are comic books. Like I'm such a nerd. Like if I had glasses on right now, I'd be like.
That's what. So I've been doing a lot of drawing during quarantine, and comics are like the biggest. I just picked this guy up as like how to draw, and I've been working on a bunch of different stuff for this, and so it's been or not years, but months of just I never drew before, and then I was like, I got a bunch of extra time. Let me just try.
Well, I'm gonna need something in the frame. I'm gonna need something, you know what I mean? I'm gonna need something in the frame, dog.
If you want, you know what? I'm gonna ask this question, then I'm gonna grab this. So I was gonna say, 2020 has been really stressful. So what's one thing that you've been able to do to kind of decompress, de-stress, and kind of recharge?
Okay, so two things I've been able to do. For one, like I said, I'm a big gamer, so I've been gaming a lot. I started a Twitch channel. My management's been on me about doing Twitch anyway because I love communicating with people and talking. Like I'm having a ball in this interview. Like I don't want it to end. So like I'm having a ball. Like I love interacting. So I've been playing a lot of Twitch, a lot of games with my friends and online and stuff. But mostly too, musically finding new ways to do things isolated, right? And and understanding that like I said, like Jay-Z, 50, like a lot of my role models became famous and became who they were with no social media. So it was like basically from all I knew, they were in quarantine for all the great stuff they did. You know what I mean? Like Jay says, if it wasn't for these pictures, you wouldn't see me at all, right? So right now, because we can't see things, can I still be great? Can I still do the things that I'm doing without needing to be out and about and in front of people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially with us having a talent that exists mainly through ears. like not eyes, right? So people don't have to see me in order for me to be relevant. So I've been working on a lot of cool things. I'm doing a cool thing. I know you hit the back of my head out here, man.
I know I'm out here trying to keep this thing. My phone's getting hot against the computer, so I'm trying to keep it off of there.
I got the fro, so I'm cushioning up. You know what I'm saying? But I got a new thing coming out that I'm going to announce in a couple of days called Frzy Who's Next, which is a project that I'm doing with a whole bunch of 15 rappers around the world.
Okay.
And getting them, I'm doing a song called Frzy featuring everyone. And it's my song that's like video from quarantine featuring 15 different artists from LA, New York, Atlanta, Paris, London, Japan. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just like, and it's all in sync, kind of like the makeup challenge that people do. You know what I mean? Where they pass it through each other and stuff. But now we're passing the mic, but it's continuous, no stopping. So I'm about to drop that. I'm making a really big announcement tomorrow for something coming, which I'll tell you about it off the air.
Perfect.
Right, so that's something happening right now. And also I'm doing a Barbarian series, which I've been putting out on my IGTV, which is like me just, luckily I did it before quarantine, but I went to 11 different states with the hottest rappers in the city, and we set up in front of an iconic place and just spit. They played a beat from somebody from there, and then I just rapped.
That's crazy.
Like, went in like old school. I'm the rapper, he's the DJ, and like called out a lot of people. I was like, you know what? I feel like problems. I want to call out the people who are not because I don't like you. It's because I know you can rap better. So now I'm gonna make you rap better because I have so many bars. This means shit ain't gonna work with me. So
right.
You're gonna have to spit,
right.
And like we gonna do it. So like, you know, calling up these DJs and being like, listen, this is what I'm doing. So we filmed 11 episodes, edited and done. They were done before quarantine happened.
Right.
So I was starting to release them. I think I only got 2 episodes out now. I'm releasing a new one Friday. I stopped and took a break for a little bit to talk about, you know, to make sure focus stayed on Black Lives Matter and you know the industry and what's going on within America. But you know, I'm gonna start releasing them again on Friday, and that's something that I've been really excited about because I'm a spitter at heart. You know what I mean? I come from battle rap when I first started, back when before you nothing against battle rap now, but before you had months to prepare and research. When it was just like a beat and somebody be like, rap about his shoes, and like, that's what I'm, you know what I mean? That's where I come from with it. So this song, that these are very very aggressive for me. These moments of silence that we have to have, because I feel I used to complain like, man, I need a vacation. I don't take any breaks. Like people was on me, and it was like God gave me a vacation, but I was like, not this long. I wanted this long. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
I think a lot of people are feeling the same way, where they're like, yeah, everybody talked about needing some time off, and now we got it, and now everybody's like, all right, I have my time off. Like,
I'm ready. Right. I want to get, but I think it's showing me who the real artists are too, you know, because I used to tell people that, again, with the popularity and success comparison, I used to tell a lot of people like that these are the important times, because like you see a lot of comedians that like work the stage who are funny and do their things compared to like the Instagram comedians who do their sketches and stuff cool. But when it started to happen, a lot of the Instagram comedians that I follow and I love, their content started to slowly wither away because they couldn't do what they were comfortable with doing.
Right.
So for me, you know, greatness is defined by the comfort of uncomfortability.
Yep.
Of being gay, right? So like the more uncomfortable it gets, the more comfortable I get. And the more problems that happen, the easier they are to solve. You know, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z dude, so I'm a Saiyan at heart, right? So every battle that I almost die in but don't, I come back stronger. You know?
Absolutely. And you know, and it's also a testament to looking at what comedians, you just brought up comedy for an example, is, you know, the comedians that were on Instagram that are fading out, but you also see all these comedians that were on stages that are moving to Instagram and having the success because they know how to maneuver through these ways. Exactly. People that are doing podcasts, that are doing other ways to get their humor out. I mean, one of my favorite comedians is Tom Segura, and what he's doing now with Your Mom's House and then creating Two Bears, One Cave, like they're just creating more and more content.
It's great, man. It's really good. That's the thing. I mean, one of my favorites is Tony Baker. I'm a big fan of Tony Baker. And he was, I mean, he's built on Instagram, but he has a lot of, you know, comedy specials out on TV and comedy specials on Amazon and stuff. But it shows that, like, you got to be able to swim and run at the same time, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, what happens? Like, I always tell people, like, are you famous if the Instagram server went down?
Right.
Right? If Instagram doesn't exist, well, people know who you are.
Right.
And it was like, you know, I had to remind some people, like, because I know for myself, I've been working so hard on what I'm doing, and like I'm on TV or I'm on BET. I was on TRL, you know, last year, and like all these crazy things. But people are like, well, but my boy never did that, but he got more followers than you. And
Right.
like, well, for one, he probably paid for him.
Right.
For two, you know, it's one of those things that doesn't make a difference when you're at that level and you're doing what you're doing. It's about what you are and the content you make, and the people that make the decisions that put you in those chairs aren't looking at your Instagram numbers, because
Right.
they know they can be just like YouTube. It's great to have big numbers, but unfortunately, we live in an age where they can be manipulated. So,
Right.
you know, and also people are getting followers for squeezing lemons in their eyes.
Right.
And, right. I think there's a girl with 2 million followers who just lays her face on bread. Right. So it's like, I'm okay. Like I'm
Right.
good. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I didn't get the Emmy. I'm not nominated for a Grammy based off of my Instagram numbers. I'm
Right.
just based off of the things that I do and who I create. And if the number one rapper alive is Jay-Z and he doesn't have a social media, I think I'm doing all
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely, man. So hey, so the last question I wanted to kind of get out to you here is, you know, we're starting to see certain places are opening up. Certain places are already closing back down. But you know, as we slowly start to open, what's one thing currently that's kind of been missing in your society, or like missing that you can't wait to get back into society?
Man, that's a really good question. I have a couple answers. I don't want to ramble. I mean, I love my friends. You know what I mean? I work a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I travel a lot, and obviously I'm working on different things. But like I said, I'm a hunter. That's who I am, right? So the things that's been missing is I haven't been able to fully hunt like I'm used to. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's
right.
To give it a comparison, I'm used to being in the woods. I'm used to, like, you know what I mean? Like finding my target and manipulating the situation or making traps and hunting with my bare hands and a knife. And now I've been using a sniper rifle. That's what it feels like. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm still making kills, but I'm not used to
Right.
seeing where the wind's at, and like, you know what I mean? Like I
Right.
gotta close one eye for the scope. I'm used to being hands on. So being able to chase is different. I've had to learn how to be patient. So I'm missing the pursuit a lot. Or the follow, or should I say following the trail of blood. I've been missing that a lot, and shooting from a distance, which I've learned to perfect, but I'm not a big fan of. So for me, I've been waiting. I'm such an in-your-face person. Like, I love talking on the phone, or I love like seeing you. Like, we have a meeting, like, let's meet. You know what I mean? Like, I want to look you in your eyes when we had this conversation. But lately, it's been a lot of like waiting for people to answer the phone, which is also, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like. So for me, it's just the interaction, the face-to-face, the aggression, the hunt, the blood, the sweat, the tears. The, like, you know, it's one, like, I think people write stories in their house and create them outside of it. If that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree with you. It's one of the things that's hardest for me. And I was recently just talking with a friend of mine about this, is like when I'm bouncing ideas off of people, when I'm in a creative space, like if I'm having to text somebody and then wait for them to text me back, and then I overthink a lot of things, then I'm like, nah, I don't really want to send that to them. Like when you're in a conversation and you have to continually talk back and forth, like I think that a lot more ideas come out and a lot more bouncing out, and then you narrow those ideas down in that conversation. Whereas a lot of time in texting, I really overthink things, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna say that. That's dumb.
Right.
Right.
right. But I mean, you're right. It changes that. And also, it's hard to read somebody's tone in the text.
Right.
You know, like that interaction. That's why even like when I type, like I was talking to you when we were setting this whole thing up, I wanted to make sure you knew how excited I was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like in the text, like a lot of all caps.
Right.
Because it's like, I need y'all to know, because it's very easy for somebody to be like, oh, you want to do this? Like, yeah, I'll be there. And it's like, do you want to come? It's like, no, like, I'm in the building. I can't wait. Like,
right.
About that appreciation of each other's time. So, you know, like when I signed, you know, one of the faces of Steve Madden now, and when I locked in that deal, I had to go to New York in the middle of a blizzard, like just to sit down in that meeting, just to meet Steve and sign that contract.
Right.
And now I have a billboard in Times Square. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy.
Yeah.
as a rapper for Steve Madden. So it's like it's doing these things, but unfortunately, no one can come outside, right? So I can say all day, like, yeah, my billboard's in Times Square, but no one's going to see it because no one's
Right.
in Times Square. So it's like, okay, well, what else can I do? What am I doing now? How am I moving? But like still trying to, like I said, accomplish these things that will
Right.
go on my resume, that'll go on my Wikipedia, that'll go in the conversation. Then one of the big things for me, I've been saying this a lot to my friends, is working on the conversations you'll never hear. I'm in love with that. Like,
Yep.
you know, like I realized when I was growing up at the lunch table, like I said, talking about Biggie, Jay, they never heard those conversations, but they've done so many great things to inspire them. And I think that that's the thing that's great. Just like you drawing over there, I didn't see the guy who painted the Mona Lisa, but I damn sure respect him, you know?
Right. And then, you know, that's something I've never really thought about, but you like, that's one of the coolest things I think I've heard in the whole, like, since we started doing this, it's like, yeah, so many people talk about a lot of different people and their art and what they've done in this world, and they have no idea what's been said, good or bad. I mean, it's just, it's crazy to think, like, the amount of conversation.
So imagine if you had the power to control that, right? That'd be so great that the conversations that are had about you, regardless of how they are dictated within a bubble of greatness, right? Because for me, I'm literally preparing my name for my death. So because when I'm gone, those conversations are also going to be the ones I never hear of. So like it's unfortunate that like Pop Smoke, for instance, will never hear what he's doing right now, right? What's happening. He'll never know what it feels like to have a #1 record, right? So it's like, but are you that great to create that, you know? So for me, I was looking at the things as an artist. I was like, what do I want to experience that the greats have never experienced? When Biggie died, they had a parade, and so Biggie doesn't know what it feels like to have a whole city have a parade for him. So when I won the Emmy, you know, Pittsburgh threw a parade. I was in a parade, and I got to feel that. And I was like, you know what? I want to have. I feel like Ray from the Jedi, right? I got all the Jedi in me. I want to have all the great rappers in me, so I can feel these emotions for them that they've never had a chance to feel, and know what that's like. You know what I'm saying? So Tupac wanted to get into acting, but he never got a chance to win an Emmy. I got you. You gonna feel that through me. I got you. You know what I'm saying? Biggie, you never felt that parade. You on stage with me doing that, and that's how we going. You know, that's how we going to get it. And for me, you know, now it's about being the greatest alive and being able to be around to see it. So be the greatest alive and be the greatest that even died.
That's awesome, man. And you know, I want to get into this because Instagram only gives us an hour on here. But I wanted to just say, I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk to the fans just about whatever's on your mind. You know, if you got merch, if you got music coming up, if you got whatever, just kind of turn it over to you to let you kind of speak to everybody.
Thank you, man. Well, you know, like I said, time is winding down. I saw a lot of questions popping in. I love you guys that popped in and that watched this live. I love you guys that tuned in a little late and are watching this pre-recorded. And thank you to you as well, man, and upcoming, man. You guys have been supporters from day one, so I love you guys to death. And for me, I got a lot of new music coming, and a lot of greatness coming, and a lot of impossible coming. So I'm really excited. We've been working hard during this quarantine to make sure that we can give you guys quality music and quality consistency within it, and to make sure that the people who are my fans are confident when speaking my name, especially when it is turning people into fans that don't speak my name. So, you know, look out for a big announcement tomorrow on my page. So follow me, Frzy, out here. It's just in case y'all watching this later on. It's Wednesday, tomorrow Thursday. So go back in time, pull a flashpoint, you know what I'm saying, if we need to. But one thing I will promise, you know, as I'm doing this, man, I will promise you great music, and I will promise you that I will be the best rapper to ever do this. And that this interview that you guys are watching right now will go down in history as something special, man. One of the biggest rappers that ever exist and the biggest blogs as well. So we out here, man.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I want to say thank you again. Thank you for the kind words, and just I'm looking forward to seeing you continue to progress and continue to put the music out that you've been